Right, so here we are with the original bike restored. Tell us a little bit about what it was like for you coming across such a gem, and what the journey was like for you restoring it.
Well, I think because it took us a long while to find it, it was originally built by Ken Heens, who was a very good friend of mine, and he sent me in the wrong direction a few times to try and find it. It took us about 2 years to actually locate the bike, and it was a very, very, very lovely moment to find it. It was all in bits when we found it because it belonged to the cowman of the original farmer that bought it from Ken, and when the farmer died, he left it to his cowman as a sort of going away present, and best will in the world, he sort of stripped it and was going to do it and rebuild it, but never did. And as I say, we bought it and we've restored it.
So you're a fan of the films?
Oh, very much so, yeah. And I knew Tim Gibbs, who was the guy that done the first stunt in the film. We brought him over from New Zealand this year with his granddaughter, and we done a talk at the Apollo Theatre with Dan Snow. He's an amazing guy. We've actually got him to sign the tank, as you can see there. Look.
I did see that. That's a great little touch.
He did the first stunt where the German comes down the road, and McQueen puts the wire across the road, and Tim goes underneath the wire, and as the bike slid down the road, he hit the cameraman, broke his leg, and Tim thought that he was going to get the sack by Sturgis, so he starts to do a runner, and Sturgis shouts at him, "Get effing back here, Gibbs," he said, "and get on the bike and do it again." Then he shouts across to the cameraman, "Go and get another cameraman," he said, "and tell him to move a bit quicker next time." So yeah, he didn't have a lot of mercy, I don't think, Sturgis.
Wow, I mean that's a great little tidbit from on site. You mentioned to me earlier that there were 3 bikes.
There was 3 bikes. Bud built 2 bikes. There was another solo bike, and then there was a motorbike and sidecar that they used. The reason they used Triumphs and not BMWs or DKWs was because Bud and Steve wouldn't ride anything else but a Triumph. So the bikes had to be altered a little bit to make them look like sort of period war bikes. But as we know, when the war was on, this bike wasn't even built, being a 62. So
a bit of a historical sort of license being taken, let's say, artistic license being taken there. But it looks the part. Tell me about a little bit about the extras that were added to make this look more...
Well, yeah, the reason that this bike was built by Ken in England was because Bud wanted an international 6-day trials bike for the jump. Not so much for the riding scenes, just for the jump, because they're built a lot stronger. There's little bits they do to them, obviously, to stop them twisting on the forks. And the suspension was changed on this bike. It's got what they call sidecar suspension. The rear dampers and the springs are from a sidecar, which is slightly heavier duty, for obviously when they land, they need a little bit more.
I guess this bike hasn't seen any sort of big jumps or big action since it's been restored.
Not really, but I think Guy's going to ride it later on, so we'll see.
Hopefully he doesn't break it.
Well, I hope he's not going to jump the wire.
So, an iconic bike, iconic location. What was it like for you bringing this original bike to the original location and getting to see it on site?
I think it's very emotional because I knew Bud and Ken very well, and it's very emotional. So.
Would Bud and Ken be proud to see it here like this?
Very much so, yeah. And even this morning we went to start the bike, and we had a spark plug go down, and I thought to myself, they're looking down laughing,
Well, it's a great bike. We've seen it. We've heard about it. Can we hear it now?
100%. We'll start it for you. If you just grab that piece of wood.
You can take the audio.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey!